Welcome back, everybody, to episode. Do you know, Ben?
10?
Do you
10,
know?
11?
It is 10. 10.
Yeah,
All fingers on your hand. You had it
all
right the
fingers
first
on,
time.
yep.
Never doubt yourself.
Hey, I just took a test and I got like the 25th percentile for math. Like, not my thing.
That's tough. That's tough.
I did well on everything else, I will clarify, but the math part, it's just my brain. I'm not a math major for a reason.
That's definitely why you're in something that doesn't involve, real intellectual capacity.
Real intellectual capacity. You got me. My girlfriend always tells me that I do the fake major of writing and reading, but
Yeah,
you
quote
know what?
unquote science.
Yeah,
Whatever.
quote unquote social science. Is that even a real thing? Who knows?
I'm a political science major as well, but I'm just
You're a
doing.
wait.
I'm public administration.
Dude, what? Chat.
Yeah, before this, I
I'm learning
was
this for the
criminal
first time. I thought you were
justice.
trying to be a cop.
I was never trying to be a cop. No, sir. Never be a cop. But either way, what I was doing criminal justice, which doesn't always equal cop. People think it's
I
lawyer a
see.
lot of the time, but criminal justice is also political science. So I've
Okay,
always been a
that's
political
true.
science
You are in
major.
a political science subsect.
Yeah,
You, me, and our buddy Miguel is also, which he's probably not watching this.
he'll never watch it. We could literally like release his entire address. I can really read off his social security number. He'd never notice until like unless we tell him, he would never know.
Yeah, he wouldn't. He's a fake fan. I fear. What has been up with you this week? You have a good.
Depression, sadness, purely based on my football team.
Well, the dogs won.
I'm a Falcons fan first.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Even though we've won two national championships recently and we're slated to really contend this year, but I would still prefer the Falcons win just because Falcons fan. I don't have a ton of dog stuff. I've been to games and stuff like that. I watch every game that's available with the streaming services that I have. Not every time.
Yeah.
It's just not like do I really need to see them thrash Mississippi State 41-21? Not really. I'll watch them I watch like Florida, I watch the big games, but for the Falcons I literally watch every game and I watch pretty much every minute, even the blowouts. So yeah, I mean we'll get into what I had to experience together with you. Actually, we were watching the game together.
But yeah, that'll be our second game. But the first one
First, numero uno.
was probably the worst game of the entire week. Maybe, dare I say, the entire season so far.
It's definitely up there. I won't lie to you.
A seven to 10 stinker between. I was actually kind of surprised because I fully expected because we know the Broncos' offense isn't very good. Their defense is good. But the Raiders had no business losing this game, especially with a called back touchdown, a missed field goal. The Broncos, I truly, again, it's a divisional game, so it's hard to know, but their offense couldn't do anything against the Raiders, who got 0 points on the Chiefs.
It's a divisional matchup, like we've said. Denver Broncos, their offense I feel like it gets worse. It gets worse every week. Like I feel like Bo Nix is always like eclipsing games, like the worst games of the season every week.
Yeah, and he's just clearly not the guy. I mean, I don't want to buy out sell stock on him yet because he has only been in the league for a full season, and it's hard to tell if it's. I mean, it is a Bo Nix problem, but is it his receiving core? Is it play calling? We saw flashes from him last year, so I'm not saying to sell stock on Bo Nix, but at the same time, it is concerning what we've seen so far from him.
Yeah, it's definitely if you're a Denver fan, I'm low key. I'm looking for other options. Maybe trading him away or something. But right now, I mean, obviously you got to stick with him, especially while his contract rides out, because you're on a 7-game win streak. You're 8-2, top of the division. They're still finding ways to win games, but their offense is like horrible when it should not be horrible. They have enough talent on there to be doing well. J.K. Dobbins is producing. Cortland Sutton is good enough wide receiver to be throwing to. They're just constantly coming up short.
Yeah, so that, I mean, just a stinker. There isn't really a lot to take away from this besides the fact that, I mean, the Broncos are 8-2. They are leading their division right now. So, I'm not going to deny that they have a good team. Their defense is very good, and they did win them this game. Defenses win championships, which is true, but you also can't win championships by putting up 15 points a game or less.
Come playoff time, when you're facing the Chargers, the Bills, and you're facing them back to back to back, over time, it's gonna come back to bite you. I don't think they're doing super well against good teams. I know they beat the Chargers. They beat them by 3 points though. Beat the Eagles, or sorry, they didn't beat the Chargers. They lost to the Chargers. They beat the Eagles by 5,
Yeah.
or 4 or 5, one of the two. They're just not doing super good against like good teams, and if they do win, they're just barely edging it out. They also lost to the Colts as well.
Which was a missed field goal, so it is again, it's like it's confusing to know if they're one field goal away from being 9-1, but they're also several plays away from being like 6-5. I don't think my math is correct there, but
Definitely very interesting. We'll see how it progresses. If they can end the season with max 2 more losses, maybe it's just a team that has a bad offense, but they find ways to win, and that might set them up, more positively later on. Like I said earlier, they have a good rushing offense, so we'll see how they go. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. We'll go ahead and move on to the game that is depressing for me. The Atlanta Falcons versus
yeah, which Michael did say
Indianapolis
we were
Colts.
on the phone for this whole game.
Yeah,
So I got to witness firsthand his soul get destroyed by his favorite team.
you see some things that you like to see. 17 carries of Bijan Robinson.
7 sacks on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, 7 sacks. Our defense is doing their job. I mean, our defense constantly put our team up for success, and then we just fumble it. We just fumble it away. The only bad part about the defense was really just one play, 83-yard rush with Jonathan Taylor, and then they immediately came back, forcing a failure on the 2-point conversion. This is another coaching game that was just horrible.
Which I don't know why they even went for the 2-point conversion. Or no, Indiana did. You guys forced it.
Yeah, we forced them. Yeah. So, some things that I want to focus on here are a couple of the later like drives. We get the ball back with a 1-point lead, and there's about like 9 minutes left. We rush it twice. No, we rush it 3 times total with Bijan Robinson. We get 18 yards out of 3 rushes. Right, that is very good. And then we go incompletion, deep incompletions, by the way. So not only are we not running the clock, but we immediately give the ball back. 2 plays later, we have another touchdown, and then we get the ball back again, and we're able to take a decent chunk of time off. But then what is only excused to be like a horrible defensive possession where Raheem Morris drains 30 seconds off the clock for not calling a timeout, and then when they do get to the point where they're about to kick a field goal, where Indianapolis has no field goals, he then calls a timeout so he can save time later on, which is just abhorrently stupid.
Yeah, I was like really upset seeing that because it was just dumb.
Yeah, and then just an utter complete collapse. They ended up messing up the coin flips and stuff like that with overtime, letting the Colts choose the toss, but we're the designated away team. We ended up getting the ball. A team who just scored a touchdown, who's, playing really well. Even like Michael Penix wasn't really playing that hot, but in general, we're playing good enough. And then we ended up 1-yard rush. That was the first thing that we did. And then we just had an incompletion where Darnell Mooney drops a pass, and we try to chuck one to Darnell Mooney, which was like way over his head, but it ended up getting a and that would have ended our drive almost. We ended up getting a penalty that lets us go again, and then we just have a bunch of more other horrible situations. I think the one sack that's there was actually an intentional grounding call. Or I know we had one because Michael Penix just chucks it at the ground. I mean, it's horrible. We're somehow in this game. The Colts have 500 yards. We almost have 300. We win the turnover battle. We don't have possession as much. We win the penalty, and here we are with the loss.
I mean, everything was just Raheem Morris got outcoached because as we watched this team, like Daniel Jones had a real stinker. He had 3 fumbles, lost one of them, threw an interception. Jonathan Taylor also fumbled, didn't lose it. So like the defense was doing everything they could. You started getting momentum at the end of the game. And like Michael Penix wasn't playing very well, but like Bijan was kind of carrying this team, as was Drake London. Like, and then of course, and then your defense just lets Jonathan Taylor put up 250 yards on the ground, and then another 50 through the air, and it's like truly he's just carrying this team on his back, which is crazy.
Yeah, they literally out yarded us just rushing, and then they had another almost 200 yards passing.
And so the fact that you guys were able to even force overtime, your offense playing that far behind theirs is just a testament to how good your defense was and how like he really just let you guys lose the game, which is just really frustrating.
Just to go over it again, because this defense is literally like a sight for sore eyes. 7 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 5 pass deflections, and 7 QB hits to their 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, and 3 QB hits. There's just no excuse. We had 1 turnover, which was I can't remember who. Michael Penix lost it. I think that was early in the game though. Other than that, it was pretty good football played by our players. And then when it came down to what the coaches needed to do, they could not handle it. And that's where we end up here with a 4-loss streak. Everybody's calling for Raheem Morris's head, or at least to get rid of Zach Robinson, or at least to do something. They've already had a press conference and said nothing's changing. So we're going through a good slew of 3 games to regain some, I don't know, dignity. We play the Panthers, Saints, and Jets, but then we play Seahawks, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams before we play the Saints again.
So your season is not over,
but it's basically over.
But yes, if you guys don't start playing better like next week than it is, and that's just, I mean, do you think Raheem Morris gets fired if you guys go like 5-12?
Yeah, no. Anything less than playoffs, I think he gets fired.
Okay, because that's the thing is so frustrating is you have the talent to make it to the playoffs. Maybe not win the Super Bowl, but still like playoffs are the standard for.
We have the talent to make it into the playoffs and win a game, but our coaching inability is literally keeping us 3 games under 500. A lot of people are talking about how we don't have our first round pick this year. The trade that we made to get the pick, where we lost the first round pick, that's literally just us getting Xavier Watt and James Pierce Jr. So even right now, any day of the week, I'm fine with those 2 players being on my team and us not having the first round pick, because it was just us getting it early, and there's no same caliber of players in this upcoming draft.
Moving on to yet another very interesting game was Cleveland at the Jets, and the Jets win 2 in a row with Justin Fields throwing for 50 yards. That is right, 50 yards. Truly,
I'm staring at it and I didn't even see it.
Yeah, 2 special teams touchdowns is how they lost. There was a kick return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown. And that is where 14 of New York Jets' 27 points came from. Dylan Gabriel played pretty well. I guess he got sacked 6 times, but they're going up against, a crazy good defense. Or no, I guess not. Gabriel isn't, but Justin Fields was. And I guess I just don't understand. I think Kevin Stefanski is going to get fired. I hope he's able to get a job in a more competent organization, because I just kind of feel bad for him. It's not his fault that, they brought in the Predator and he's just bad.
I'm kind of surprised the Jets won. I thought the defense would have put up more of a fight. The New York defense actually stole that from them. Will McDonald got 4 sacks on the day. Completely outsacked the Cleveland Browns, which is, the defense played exceptionally well.
Justin Fields is like the easiest quarterback to sack because he takes forever in the pocket. So
I don't know how much these results are because the Cleveland Browns offense is just that bad, or maybe Sauce Gardner and Quinton Williams really, they were like holding him back, which is like completely unlikely. So I'm kind of more confident in that the Jets are just like lucky here. This is kind of like a beginner's luck almost, or just God being merciful.
It's like it kind of reminds me of like the interim coach effect. Even though they don't have an interim coach, I think they get their first win, start getting some breaks going their way, because they were getting super unlucky. It's kind of like the law of averages. And again, they're not a good team, neither are the Browns, but
reasonably the Browns are a lot better.
Oh yeah, I mean, talent-wise, the Browns are better basically everywhere. I mean, I guess every position except maybe for receiver.
It's an interesting game. Like I said, this is a testament to Aaron Glenn and how he runs his team. I think once this next year comes in, maybe a little into the year after that, once they start fully like building instead of taking everything down, this team might actually start becoming good. I think they got a good coach with Aaron Glenn. Jets win this one. On to this next game, another divisional matchup. We have the Texans taking on the Jaguars.
Very interesting game.
This is a very interesting game because it's not led with C.J. Stroud. It's led by former Houston starting quarterback Davis Mills. Davis Mills throws for 45 attempts to get almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. This offense ends up scoring 36 points against the Jaguars, who, granted, are in like a kind of a lost stink. I mean, they put up 29 points. It's not like they played that bad either. A lot less passing yards, but not horrible. Or sorry, not a lot less. Damn near 200.
But yeah, they let up 26 points in the fourth quarter, one of which was a pick six by a big defensive tackle. I like the Jaguars, and it is just sad because, yeah, they put up 29 points. It's not like they played bad at all, but you can't let a team put up almost 4 scores on you in the fourth quarter. You just can't win games that way.
The defense played pretty well on Houston. Danielle Hunter get 3.5. This is what it looks like when Houston's team clicks.
Yeah.
And Jacoby Myers, a fresh Jaguar, leading the team in receiving, 41 yards. Real stunner. So it's very interesting how this game turned out. Not a horrible game by the Jags, but they do gotta.
Yeah, I think that's all we have for this game. The next one isn't. I don't know what you think about this, Michael, but I thought it was very surprising of the Bills getting blown out by the Dolphins, and Tua still had 2 picks. What's going on here? What is your take?
Dude, this is just like a miracle almost. But I mean, the real reason that I see Josh Allen has 306, the Bills as a whole have 376, meaning 70 yards only were attributed to the rest of the team, whereas for Miami it was more split evenly. A-Chain had a crazy game, 22 carries, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tua less than he was about average, to be honest with you.
I can say we know Mike McDaniel is a good play caller. This team, especially with Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle, even if Tua is mid and has CTE and just can't even remember the play he's supposed to do or who he's supposed to throw the ball to, they're still liable. You can't. I feel like I saw someone say, and I agreed with this take, that Buffalo was probably seeing this Miami game as just a gimme, and I think they were looking ahead to the Patriots. I don't remember who else they're playing, but they have 2 big games coming up, and I think that they were not prepared to come into a divisional rivalry against a team that has nothing to lose. And that's always dangerous.
Definitely very trap game vibes. Divisions do that to you. Something that it looks like they were really strong passing game early and kind of just let the running game take over. This is like a classic, this is how you play the game of football. You have your big shows of authority early. You drain the clock. You run it down. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great executed game by Miami for once.
Josh Allen, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is not on him. I think it's the defense. It's on even the rushing game out of the line. Just if you throw for 300 yards and you only put up 13 points, I'm not saying that if it was 28-30, maybe that could be on Josh Allen, but when he is when your quarterback is the engine of the offense, which is fine, but if you have nothing supporting them, I mean, look at the receiving. Khalil Shakir, 58 yards, Keon Coleman, 46, Dalton Kincaid, 37, Dawson Knox, 37, Jackson Hawes, 26. Those are good, but they don't have a number 1 receiver or even a number 2 receiver. It feels to me like Josh Allen is all in on this team, but is this team all in on Josh Allen? It just feels like they don't have any talent to support him. And I feel bad for him. I love Josh Allen. I wish that, he was able to win a Super Bowl. It's frustrating for the fans of the game and for fans of the Bills. I love the Bills.
I can't help but think this is probably a defense thing. We said it earlier in the year. It's been a reoccurring thing. The Bills' defense is just really like a motion sliding door that you'd have at Walmart while the store is open. It's yes, it could theoretically keep stuff out, But like when you get up close to it, it just kind of opens. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it feels with the Bills defense, and with Miami, who's been struggling, able to drop 30 on you. You know, kind of backing it up here. That's pretty much the story of the game for that. I say we go ahead and move on to this next game, which is actually a close one. The New England Patriots completing the NFC South sweep. They played all four teams. This most recent game, a 5-point victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, they beat all four of the teams in the NFC South. The Falcons were the most competitive one, though, I'll say. You know, only losing by 1 point. How do you feel about this one?
I was keeping an eye on the score of this game, and as a fan of Baker, and we've talked about this on this podcast before. I didn't really get into the league until Tom Brady had already left the Patriots, so the last 5 years. So to me, they were kind of like a basement dweller, and now they're getting good. So for me, I kind of like the Patriots, dare I say, or Drake May more specifically. Like, Bill Belichick is gone. This is not the same Patriots team. I don't want them to win a Super Bowl because, this team has had so much success. We don't need more Patriots Super Bowls. Yeah, like, I wouldn't be mad if Drake May was able to win one, but his time is not now. But I like Baker more just because, his time compared to someone like Drake May is a lot shorter. And I mean, he threw for 3 touchdowns, almost led a comeback to win this game, and they weren't able to do it. But this was kind of a little bit like Josh Allen. I know the Buccaneers are hurt. They didn't really have a crazy good run, like, ground game, but Emeka Ibuka, again, 115 yards. Like, besides the Bills, the one thing that stands out to me is they at least have receivers that are good. I will say I did pick up Tez Johnson off the waiver wire, and he got 2 touchdowns, so he helped me win. I'm very happy about that. I mean, I just think the Patriots are a healthier team. I wouldn't say better coached maybe, but I mean, I think Baker is the better quarterback. I just think that as a team as a whole, the Patriots are just looking like a complete unit.
The Patriots are looking really good offensively and defensively. As the weeks go on, it's hard to say that Drake May is worse than Baker Mayfield. I would tip the cat to Baker right now.
Yeah, experience and such, but I agree.
He's definitely catching up. The Patriots are on the come up. This is what a successful rebuild looks like. I know I've said this before. I wish to God that we had Mike Vrabel, because a result of what you're seeing right now is also coaching. This is what happens when you have competent coaches. Certain seeds that you plant, actually bear fruit. Certain seeds do nothing. And the Patriots are good at planting.
Yeah, they have a very good game plans and stuff. So
That's pretty much it for this one.
for the next one, dude, the Bears are so frustrating to me because every week it seems like they are down against an opponent that is clearly not as good as them. They were down by 10 in the fourth quarter against the Giants. Caleb Williams was not having a good game. And yet again, they managed to sling together enough points to come back and win the game. I will say, if Jackson Dart didn't leave the game, I think the Giants could have won. But what? Brian Daboll got fired?
He did get fired. He got fired earlier today.
This game lost him his job. I mean, I don't know why on earth, when you have Jameis Winston on your bench and you look, Jackson Dart is off the field. He has a concussion. He is not coming back in. And you see Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. Who, in your opinion, Michael, do you think has a better chance of coming into the game and giving some life to this offense and winning the game with a drive that gets you points and seals the game?
It's hard because, like,
it's not, to me, it's not Russell Wilson, no, because he might not have thrown picks and Jameis might, but he went for 3 for 7 for 45 yards, getting booed off the field. He took as many sacks as Jackson Dart did the entire game.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, Russell Wilson, he's just old. Jameis Winston has that spark in him, that young passion to accomplish things. Russell Wilson has lived his life, man. I don't know. The Giants are in a bad spot in general. Nothing seems to be going their way. They have a bright future, but I don't know what you do with the Giants right now outside of just wait until things, people come back. Good on the Bears for, I guess, surviving.
Yeah, but again, it's the same thing I say every week. Who has Chicago beat that is actually a good team? They've beaten the Commanders by 1 point. They beat the Raiders by 1 point. The only team they've won by more than one possession was the Cowboys, and we know that the Cowboys have like the worst defense in the league. They beat the Saints. I guess they beat the Saints by 2 possessions. Another going into this week 1-win team losing to Tyler Huntley on the Ravens, barely beating the Bengals on some like dark magic shit.
Yeah.
Their point differential is -8. It's frustrating because it feels like this is, I'm not going to say they're a bad team, but like what are they doing?
Sure, good teams find ways to win. I mean, when you're struggling against bad teams, it's just a lucky schedule. This next chunk of games, I mean, you play the Vikings, Steelers, Eagles, Packers. Shit, the Browns are going to be a tough game for them. The Packers
And the Lions again, yeah, like
the Niners, and then the Lions. They'll probably have a way different record coming in to this next game. But like I said, good on the Bears for clawing back from a 10-point deficit and surviving. Could they have done this away? Who knows? That's not what happened here. So let's just some food for thought. That's pretty much it for this one. Rest in peace, New York and Brian Dable era. Just like them, we're going to be moving on to the next one, which is going to be Baltimore Ravens versus Minnesota Vikings. Sure, you love to see a loss to a division rival here.
Number 9. That's his alter ego. Did you hear about that?
It's pretty cringe. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know the week before he was like running to the corner or something, and he like walked up to one of his coaches. He's like, "I wanted to knock that guy on his ass so bad." I'm like, "Shut up, white boy. You look like you put roofies and drinks at frat parties." So I really don't want to hear it from him. He won 42 attempts, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 248 yards. A loss. You can't get your best wide receiver the ball.
Well, like
Jalen Naylor.
They always show the clips of him like meditating on the field. They're like JG McCarthy, number 9, out on the field 3 hours before kickoff meditating. And like it's like if you as a player have a mindset that you get in that helps you win games, that's fine. But when you start saying stuff that's like, "Oh, I have my alter ego number 9. I meditate and get in the headspace of number 9," and just a different person comes out. It's like, can't you just say you're locked in, or like you get amped up? Like it just sounds so cringe when you're just like, oh, a different sided, like my dark side, the 2 wolves in me come out. It's like, dude.
Do you remember do you remember Russell Wilson's alternate ego?
What was his alter ego?
It was like Mr. Unlimited, and he'd record videos and post them online where he's like, "My alter ego is Mr. Unlimited." This is when he was in Denver, and so like people would like comment on his videos, and he'd go, "Mr. Unlimited," and that would be like half the video of the show. It'd be so weird. Certain people are weird, and certain people make it cringe. If you got an alter ego, just like keep it to yourself, bro.
Yeah, keep it, unless it's like you are like Tom Brady, and you've won 7 Super Bowls, and you're like, oh yeah, every time I go on the field I have an alter ego I get in. It's like, is that cringe? Yes, but does it also work? Obviously it does. But JJ McCarthy came out and threw 2 picks. So I mean, it just
9 was left at home today.
9 forgot to take his Viagra before the game.
Yeah, I will say though, certain things like certain alter egos are cool. Older NFL fans will remember the name of Brian Dawkins, alter ego Weapon X. He was cool because he was kind of cringe at first because he'd literally run onto the field on all 4s and like yeah, and he'd be like screaming, like saying like the weirdest stuff. Like he'd be like flinching at people like how Georgia fans do nowadays. And like, but like his teammates would be like, "Yo, that dude would be like the nicest guy in the locker room, but when we get into like the hall to go onto the field, he'd literally be the craziest person ever." But that's his teammates saying it, and it's his teammates being like, "Yeah, he actually is a different person," but it's not him saying it. When it's like, when you're like walking into your coaches and being like, "Dude, 9 was killing it out there," but you're him, like that's weird.
Also, when players get a nickname from the media or their team, and that like de facto becomes their alter ego, like there's like Scary Terry McLaurin, like that's a nick, like that's what people call him now, and that's like kind of an alter ego, but he also earned that name. Same with Sonic and Knuckles on the Lions. Like I feel like part of what we're saying for these nicknames is First of all, having the respect of like the culture around you, and then also earning it through production on the field, which again, JJ McCarthy could still be good, and in 5 years we could be eating our words on this. But coming out after your like third or fourth start and saying I have an alter ego 9, it's like, dude, this is like, don't say that until you're great.
Or at least, say it when you have a full season under your belt
Yeah.
of like stuff where you can back up like your quote unquote alter ego. Right now, he has like one comeback win against the Bears from week 1, and then like the list ends. So,
And they beat the Lions, who lost. We'll get to this when we get to Lions, but their offensive coordinator lost play calling duties. So, but what's the next game, Michael?
yeah, so moving on to this next game, we have a divisional matchup of the NFC South. New Orleans Saints versus Carolina Panthers. Surprisingly, even though it's in Carolina, the New Orleans Saints come away with a 10-point victory. The Panthers, much like the Falcons, cannot get anything done on offense. Tyler doesn't suck this game. 282, 2 touchdowns, a decent completion, only missing 6 passes. Good for him. First good game from him, especially it being away. That's something to consider. Panthers just fall to some offensive mishaps.
I like Dave Canales, and I don't like the Saints. And Tyler Shuck had a good game, but the Panthers are one of these teams where it's like, are they good? Are they bad? Are they mid? I genuinely don't know. Because Bryce Young throws for like 130 yards a game and like an interception consistently, but then it's like sometimes their defense will clamp them up, and so you only need 14 points to win. Or they will get blown out by the Bills, or just not even keep it close against the Saints. So it's really confusing to me. I'm kind of frustrated by it, just, and it's like what are we doing here? Again, it's just like, I feel bad because Bryce Young, I think we can officially say, is a bust. Like, he's not good. And I'm not like, I think he'd be a, yeah, he's not good. This team, if they had a good quarterback, I think they would be scary, but they don't. And that is going to be an issue now because they're kind of emerging from the basement. They're 5-5. And again, even if they go 7-9, guess that's not right. 7-10 or 6-11. Again, 25th percentile of math. I guess I just get frustrated for this team and for their fans, just because it's like what are they doing here with Bryce Young? Like, why just draft another quarterback? I mean, they gave up a lot of capital to get Bryce Young, but like, he's obviously not working. So you got to find a different guy, or you're never going to win a Super Bowl. And ultimately, that is what every team is trying to do.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Carolina's pretty high on Bryce Young, so unfortunately, I doubt that they're going to be swapping. But like the rest of the team is like fit together so well, and it's not like they're like obviously being 5-5. This is the best like season they've had in a while, even though they're at 500 at this point of the year. It's not even really coaching. It's just like execution between players. That's the only thing I can think of. Obviously, I didn't watch this game, but that's the only thing that I can see here. Oh dang! I just saw the penalties. The Panthers only had 1 penalty for 5 yards versus the Saints 6 for 60. So this is a big question mark. These are one of those blips that you stop looking at to stop your brain from hurting. The only thing I'm really going to chalk it up to is division. It's a division game. These teams know each other, so
Yeah, weird stuff happens. And speaking of divisions, for this next game, we have the Seahawks manhandling the Cardinals, which, I mean, I was keeping an eye on the score of this game, and it felt absolutely like the game was over after the first quarter. 21-0. I mean, the Cardinals, again, this isn't on Jacoby Brissett. Trey McBride did a good job. I just think this is one of those games where they just got so unlucky. For anyone wanting to know what the timestamp is when we're recording this, I am right now watching Jordan Love fumble the ball on a Eagles defensive play, and it is recovered by the Eagles. So 23 seconds in the first half, 0-0. Good things are happening. But I will let you continue, Michael.
It's really hard for a team to come back when you go down 35-7. Sorry, 38-7 going into halftime. The Cardinals played well offensively, defensively. It was horrible. Some things I do want to note about Seattle is this is the second week in a row where they scored 35 or more points in the first half and then failed to put up much else. This game they put up 6 more points. Last week they put up 3.
I'm seeing Sam Darnold also only threw for 178 yards. So that just proves that good teams can blow you out any way they want. I know there's some special teams touchdowns, defensive touchdowns. Like, this Seahawks team is legitimately terrifying.
The defense on the Seahawks were crazy. Actually, 14 points. I think this is the first player since like 1980. DeMarcus Lawrence has 2 fumble recovery touchdowns. One was 34 yards, one was 22, and then the rest of it was a bunch of rushing. Yeah. One Jackson Smith and Jigba pass touchdown, but what he didn't really matter in my fantasy, which is upsetting because I'm getting blown out that game.
We're gonna get to what happened between Michael and I this week. No spoilers, but
well, it's funny because that's both of my fantasy leagues. I'm having a bad week in football this week. But that's that. We won't get into that just yet. We'll go ahead and move on to this next game. Probably a great game for you outside of... It just looks like a good game for you, man. So I'll let you delve into this, how you're feeling about it. Just another blowout between the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders, 44-22.
We haven't lost back-to-back games in 3 years, so this trend continues. I mean, Jared Goff, 320 yards, 25 of 33, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, 0 sacks. You don't get much better than that. Jahmyr Gibbs had 142 yards on the ground. Dave Montgomery had 71. Jahmyr Gibbs had 3 touchdowns total. Amon-Ra got a touchdown. Jamison Williams got involved for 120 yards. And you know what the difference is? I talked about this last week. They took away play calling from John Morton. And you saw Dan Campbell had his little glasses on the sideline calling plays. And for anyone out there who says that Dan Campbell is a coordinator merchant, this puts that to bed. And again, maybe I'm getting a little bit too hyped up just because it was against the Commanders. They've been getting blown out every week. Marcus Mariota did play a pretty good game. There was a noticeable difference in some of the play calling. We had an O-lineman line up at receiver. It just felt like, from what I heard, the offensive coordinator was kind of giving options to Dan Campbell to pick, or he was telling him what to do. But like what happened in 2022 or 2021 when we were just absolutely terrible on offense, Dan Campbell unofficially demoted the offensive coordinator, started calling his own plays, and then found Ben Johnson to help take over duties slowly. So for anyone who says that Dan Campbell doesn't know what he's doing, this is not true. I might be getting a little bit frustrated because this isn't true necessarily, but like, he is a good coach, and good coaches know when something isn't working, and they know when they have to step in to fix it. And so this game is an example of that. Our defense played very well. We had 2 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson almost had a pick. That would have probably been a pick 6. Terrion Arnold, our first round corner from last year, had his best game of his entire career. And so more than anything, I just think that if we can keep this momentum up, if this offense, again, I don't expect our offense to be as good as last year, but if we can be 70% as good as last year, we're in every single game. Our defense is better, it's healthier. Our O-line, we lost Penei Sewell and our center for like a few snaps this game, and it didn't change anything. And people who say that, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this, Michael, but like, a bad offensive line obviously can ruin a team, but this isn't a bad offensive line. It's just kind of mid and inconsistent. But a good offensive coordinator or play caller can adjust around the tempo of a line that is struggling and can get the quarterback to make plays. Jared Goff is leading the league in completion percentage right now with 74%. 20 touchdowns to 3 picks. He is playing out of his mind. So that's my little, rant for today, but it's a good one. I want to know what your take is on this, but still, it's just, I'm sick of people who overreact. And again, I know I was kind of defending our coordinator, but I just try to take a neutral route of acknowledging there are issues. Dan Campbell fixed it. So I have nothing more to say. Hopefully it's fixed.
This is how y'all's coaching is going, is how I wish the Falcons would do it. So I'm very jealous that your guys know how to get things done. In regards to the offensive line, most teams in the NFL have a mid-line, quote-unquote. Not that they're bad, but just statistically performing, stacking up against the rest of the league. Most of the NFL is mid with their offensive line. most of the top offensive line teams are actually not often top of the like NFL record thing. So it's very interesting. Some of the bad teams like the Falcons have a top like 10 line, and we're 3-6. So the offensive line isn't really like a
I was gonna
end
bring
all
up
be all.
something too that reminds me of is like there's the whole idea of like with the salary cap, it's really hard for teams to have good investment into every single area because it's like okay, the Browns have like the best defensive line in the league, and they got Myles Garrett. That I don't remember anyone else on the line if I'm being honest, but like these expensive dudes there, but then they don't have money to sign free agents to bolster their offensive line or to get a good wide receiver. And so obviously through the draft you can get lucky, you can have players retained for short periods of time. But like you were saying, when a team invests heavily into something and they miss their window or whatever, I'm not saying it holds the rest of the team back. I'm just saying that football is such a team sport that even if you have the best secondary in the league, but your run defense is bad, yes, that could still win you games, but it doesn't really matter because then if they have a competent, just a mid O line and a competent running back, they can just completely negate your strength.
Most offensive lines, I think, are kind of stacked up where like one side is going to be stronger than the other, or like the outside is going to be weak and the inside is going to be strong, or vice versa, that kind of thing. So there's definitely ways you can stack your offensive line to kind of even out where like the part that you're missing. And your team is fortunate enough to have great coaches that know how to do things like that. And so you have games like this where you blow out a team with an old but not bad defense, just by just completely you're just dominating them. So yeah. So good blowout victory for you. Yeah, moving on to this next game here. Get this, another divisional matchup between the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. 42-26. Matthew Stafford throwing for 4 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. Dare I say the MVP front runner. A good showing by Nate Landman, former Falcon. I miss him. He's very good. We could use him right now. 0 penalties by Los Angeles.
Wow.
Which is very interesting. A good competitive game. Well, not competitive. I'm sure from when I was keeping up with the score, it didn't look competitive at the time. But, they were still in it to some degree.
But Matthew Stafford, again, 4 touchdowns. He's leading the league. I mean, he's in his 30s, and as him being a former Lion, like he is just electric to watch. Kyron Williams is excellent. Sean McVay is probably, in my opinion, he's a top 3 coach in the league, hands down. I mean, he's like a genius. I don't want to just start glazing him, but he's genuinely just like a football genius. I don't know how he does it. Very impressive. And Mac Jones had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but again, it's kind of like the Seahawks game. You're down 21-7 going into halftime. That already puts you at a disadvantage. The Rams are rolling. They don't really let off the gas. You start slow against a team like the Rams, that might cost you the entire game. Our last game that we're covering tonight, and we'll briefly touch on what's going on in Eagles-Packers. It is halftime. It's not interesting at all, but the Steelers lose another 3 games in a row. Justin Herbert, very impressive. Aaron Rodgers is just old. Like watching him, I see his vision is still good, but when you're in your 40s and you can't throw like you used to,
there's not enough zip in the ball anymore.
It's just I'm seeing throws that prime Aaron Rodgers would have made hands down, and that would have won them the game. He is not prime Aaron Rodgers anymore. He's 41. I'm not going to say he's washed. I mean, compared to his prime he is, but like he's still a serviceable starter. But every year we have this conversation about the Steelers. What is their plan at quarterback? Because what they drafted Kenny Pickett, that didn't work. Now they have a 40-year-old who probably is retiring after the season. And even if he stays next season, I don't think they can win another Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Realistically, like, what are they doing?
You're not winning a Super Bowl with a 40-year-old quarterback, not named Tom Brady. Your defense is good enough. Your offense is very interesting. You're not winning no Super Bowl with Jalen Warren as your running back and DK Metcalf not getting the ball. The Los Angeles Chargers did a good job shutting down everything that Pittsburgh wanted to do. Justin Herbert had, I want to say, a mid-performance. This is, really like Ladd McConkey did what he did with his 4 touches, and then they just gave it to Vidal 25 times. There's also a safety by the Chargers. Oh, they got the safety. sacked Aaron Rodgers. Team win, I would say, for the Chargers here. They elevate to 7-3 to try to take that division from Denver. We'll see how they go in terms of Pittsburgh. I'm not very confident in them. I think they're mid. Another like season. You're probably gonna go 9-8. Miss the playoffs. It's just the curse of Pittsburgh. You sold your devil for your Super Bowls in the past, and you're reaping the rewards of that.
You're
right
stuck
now.
in perpetual mediocrity.
But yeah, so we'll go ahead and touch up about the Eagles game, Eagles versus Packers. It's halftime, the score is 0-0. Jordan Love has 39 yards, Josh Jacobs has 38, but a total of 58. He has 20 receiving. I'm just stat watching right now. You are physically watching. One thing I do want to say, Lane Johnson appears to have left the game with an injury.
He limped off the field.
So you fill us in on how it physically looks.
If I was a fan of either team, and again, if this game is far from over, we still got a whole half left to play. But if things continue like this and this ends with right now it's literally looking like this could be a 3-0 game.
I would love a 0-0 tie.
I just think the Eagles continue to struggle offensively. One week they'll have a crazy game. The next week they don't. And again, there's they're feeding Saquon the ball. Jalen Hurts isn't playing terribly. Jordan Love is not playing well. But I'm a Jordan Love hater, so that's just me. Very uninspiring for both teams. It's either are their defenses this good or are their offenses this bad. It obviously doesn't help losing a starting lineman who's a veteran, excellent at their job. Depends on the second half. And, if something interesting happens, I'll pipe in and say something. But, I really don't anticipate this game getting super interesting. Yeah, that's everything we have for the recap of this week. But now going into
basically our mid-season awards, just kind of, we went over them. Episode 0 for those of you that have been with us the whole year. This time we're just gonna go with our, revitalize. Based on how the season's playing out, we're gonna go over, who gets what, and we're also gonna give you our updated Super Bowl matchup. Ben, this was your idea. Why don't you go ahead and start us off with your MVP?
I think Michael and I are on the same page with this. I think the leader for MVP right now is Mr. Matthew Stafford. He right now is leading the league in touchdowns with 25. He is in the top 5 for yards, which is 2,400. Only thrown 2 interceptions, and this is only through 9 games. They've already had their bye week. He's taken 14 sacks, but again, I just think he's balling out. 2 interceptions to 25 touchdowns is crazy. And he could be on path to realistically throw for 45 to 50 touchdowns and 4 picks. That is MVP right there. Especially if the Rams stay as good as they are, they could be the 1 seed. They could make it to the Super Bowl. They could win the Super Bowl.
Something that you're not really used to is pass yards volume. Like a thing that you would used to look at when it comes to MVP is the major 3 stats, which are pass yards, touchdowns, and interceptions. Those are the top 3 most important. Matthew Stafford is on pace for 4,000, and surprisingly, a handful of other quarterbacks are also on pace for 4,000 when that's not been a thing the past couple of years. So Matthew Stafford is slinging the ball. He has 310 attempts, completed 208 of them, 67.1% completion. Something to note, the typical quarterback average per play usually rests between 4 yards to about 5, maybe 5.5. Matthew Stafford is averaging 7.8 this season. That is phenomenal. That is every 2 passes is a first down with extra points or with extra yardage. Matthew Stafford is going insane. He is 37 touchdown interception ratio, 25-2. That is Madden numbers. Those are Madden numbers. Their team is slated to make the playoffs, 7-2. They're tied for the top of the division with Seattle, even though Seattle has the edge over them right now. I'm with you here on Matthew Stafford. That is my MVP. I will say runner-up is Drake May. So, maybe Drake May can come and steal it from behind, but, I'm going Matthew Stafford. Now, something that is probably unanimous here between most NFL fans is the Offensive Player of the Year. which is going to Jonathan Taylor, the Colts running back, who is having a insane year. Me and Ben were talking about this earlier. Jonathan Taylor is leading the league in points scored, which is usually a kicker stat. Jonathan Taylor is already over 1,000 yards. He has 1,139. He has 15 touchdowns, and he's carried it 190 times. His average is 6 yards a carry.
That's just insane. And I don't want to reopen wounds we just talked about, but like he's truly the reason the Colts won against the Falcons. Is he literally just locked in and put on 250 yards on the ground. Like that just doesn't happen.
This is like in his last 5, he has 2 games with 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns specifically. He had 3 touchdowns total against the Titans. This is like his 4th game with 3 touchdowns total of the year. You don't see that very often. Sorry, not often. This is unheard of, realistically. This is a historic season for a running back. He's on pace to get close to 2,000, to be honest with you, 1,900. This is like a unanimous, this goes to Jonathan Taylor. I really can't think of anybody who has, maybe a quarterback. I mean, he's carrying the offense. Maybe some of the reasons why, when the Colts start to stall, because Daniel Jones is starting to have to pick up the slack where the rest of the team is left off, and when that happens, the Colts aren't super good. This 8-2 start for Jonathan Taylor, or for the Colts, might be a result of Jonathan Taylor specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Again, my offensive player of the year is Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones, and this is no hate to him, I'm very glad to see his career get revived, but he's being a very good game manager. For some quarterbacks, that's all you need to do. You can win a Super Bowl with a game manager. And if Jonathan Taylor plays this way, if the offensive line stays healthy, if Daniel Jones just continues playing efficient, safe football, this team is unstoppable. For my defensive player of the year, I am going to be picking Nick Bonito. He is towards the top of the league. He's 3rd in sacks with 9.5. He has a lot of 9 tackles for loss, 22 solo tackles, 10 assists, and I know Myles Garrett and Brian Burns are ahead of him on some of these stats. I just think, especially with him leading the Denver our defense, with them having a historically good defense in terms of pressures and sacks, his stats are being held back by the rest of this defense. And that's not any sort of excuse. It's just how good their team is. What my point is that Nick Bonito is the leader of this defense, and especially with him being on a team that's better than the Giants and the Browns, I think that lends his value as the defensive player making a biggest impact in winning games compared to Brian Burns and Myles Garrett.
This is where we differ a little bit. Personally, I'm taking Brian Burns. I think while their team has not won a lot of games, their defense has definitely put them in a position to win games. And that's mostly on the hand of Brian Burns. He's sitting here with 11 sacks with 94 sack yards. He has 15 tackles for loss, 6 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and 47 total tackles, 31 of them solo. Nick Bonito is definitely a good runner-up between him and Myles Garrett. I think what Brian Burns is, he's definitely like an ultra-talented player being wasted on a defense like New York. So everybody wishes that a season like this can happen on a different team. Nevertheless, he's still playing like the best defender in the NFL, which I think is what the award is for, versus something like, Nick Bonito getting the edge over just because he has a better record. Not saying that that's, how you're thinking about it.
We're approaching it 2 different ways, and I totally, I wouldn't be upset if Brian Burns or Myles Garrett won it. I think they've done the work to earn it.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely wouldn't be upset if Nick Bonito won it, because he's obviously a huge staple of that defense. But I do think the volume of, it's a sack and a half over almost 30 yards more. He has some forced fumbles and pass deflections where Nick Bonito doesn't. I think those kind of things are paramount when you're coming for a best player on a whole side of the ball. Staying on defense, though, you'll probably like this. Comeback player of the year, I'm going to take. I'm keeping Aiden Hutchinson. I actually had him earlier in the year. Aiden Hutchinson has a really good forced fumble number. I think it's 6, if I remember right.
4.
4.
Still leading the league though.
And he's played 8 games and he has 7 sacks. I mean, that's still really good. And he's doing stuff. I mean, he's pressuring the quarterback. He's doing what he needs to do. Given what, if you guys saw his injury from last year, seeing what happened to his leg and seeing him come back and still be able to dominate. I mean, that's astounding, to be honest with you.
Very astounding. It's impressive work.
Yeah. Who's yours?
Same thing. I think it's Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, his leg literally had snapped in half, and he's top 10 in sacks. He's leading the league in pressures. He's leading in forced fumbles. He is as good as he's been. And that's not an easy thing to do coming off such a horrific injury that he had last year. Moving on to offensive rookie of the year. I have the one and only Emeka Egbuka. He comes in, I think from Ohio State, and he is everything that you could have asked for. He is starter ready. He's already wide receiver 1, and he's kind of been forced in that role through injuries, but he's taking it like a vet. He is incredible. He's part of the reason Baker Mayfield is in the conversations for MVP, and so I think hands down it's him thus far.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think he's been stellar. He's a really great deep target. He's a good run after catch target. He's a good yards after catch target. I mean, he's just helping, Tampa Bay stay relevant right now offensively with all their wide receiver injury issues. He's literally keeping their offense afloat. It's a clear offensive rookie of the year. Coming to the defensive rookie of the year, a bit harder of a choice. I'm just going to take the selfish route, and I'm going to take who I believe has been the best rookie recently, which is Jalen Walker. He started off the season slow, but he has clawed back recently. He has 3 sacks in 2 games. Right now he's sitting at 4 total sacks. He has 2 forced fumbles. One of them was recovered. He's a pass deflection. He also has 16 solo tackles, 25 total tackles. He's playing phenomenally, especially as a rookie. He's a player we drop back in coverage a lot, so he's not only lining up as a rusher, but when he does rush, he's doing beautiful, beautiful things. He's also pretty good at run stopping. He's able to get off linemen pretty quickly. He's hurrying the quarterbacks a lot. That's my pick for offensive rookie of the year. It's definitely up in the air. Let me hear yours, buddy.
I agree with Michael on this one. I think it will be Walker. Michael makes a very compelling argument, and after watching the Falcons game, I can just, part of it being a rookie is you're making a difference that can be felt on a team full of veterans and people who've been in the league for several years. And he, along just with the whole defense, single-handedly kept them in that game. That enough is evidence.
Yeah, I will say Abdul Carter is a close second. I think it's between those two. Maybe the linebacker from Cleveland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. It's really a toss-up between them, so that's also why I'm selfishly picking Jalen Walker here. We'll move on to this last award before we go into our matchups, which is the Coach of the Year. In my humble opinion, even though we just lost to them, I do think it's Shane Steichen of the Indianapolis Colts. What he has done with a team that everybody thought was a consensus number 4 in their division and a bottom 5 team in the league has now become the best team in the league with an offensive player of the year, a defense that is seemingly difficult to beat.
I mean, I agree with Michael on everything he's saying. I think that Shane Steichen takes this one. I mean, for my preseason prediction, I fully had them winning 1 or 2 games, and they are already, like he said, they have 8 wins. They're leading the entire league right now, and that is, again, I don't think we have to explain. That's just how Coach of the Year works.
There's not many coaches who could do what he's doing, and that's just all you need to know, to be honest with you.
Yep. Our next section, we're going to go into predictions, and this week has some pretty good matchups. I'm really excited to see what we come up with for this. So to start this week off, we are going to be going for Thursday night, which is going to be the Jets of the Patriots, an AFC East showdown. I think the Patriots handedly take this one home. I don't have much commentary on it. Just the better team will prevail, and the Jets don't really stand a chance against this team.
It's very easy to click Patriots. Part of me kind of wants to click Jets just on how they've been playing. 2 wins in a row. All the two wins that they do have are against not the best teams, unfortunately. So I'm gonna rock with you here. and I'm going to go Patriots at home. Not like you said, not much else to say. Going to this next game is another divisional matchup. This is going to be the Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. I'm not very confident in either team, but I will say it is a bit closer than one would think, just because Houston might not have C.J. Stroud. The Titans are coming off of a bye here. It's in Tennessee. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on some crazy wavelengths, and I'm gonna go Tennessee here.
You know what? I appreciate your boldness, Michael. I'm gonna take the more conservative route, and I'm just picking Texas.
Typical.
I think they're better on all sides of the ball. Again, it's a divisional matchup, like we're saying, with the Jets potentially being intriguing. Same with the Titans. I get it. No shame in picking them. I just don't see the Titans winning another game this year. For the next matchup, we have Bengals and Steelers. Bengals are coming off of a bye week. The Steelers have dropped multiple games in a row. Bengals recently beat the Steelers, and I think at home the Steelers will get their first win in a while. We know Mike Tomlin is too good of a coach for them to fully dip below 500, especially with how he's had a winning record, or at least not a losing record, every time he's been coach. I fully expect that to continue just with how this team plays. So I'm picking the Steelers here to beat the Bengals. I think even though the Bengals have the better offense, I think that the Steelers have, even though their defense isn't super good compared to what the Bengals have, I just think this could be a potential shootout, which will be very entertaining for us fans.
I do think it's going to be Pittsburgh here as well. Like we said earlier, it's hard to sweep a team, and the Bengals aren't really. I know they're coming off of a bye, but you're playing a divisional matchup in Pittsburgh, which division rivals are notoriously not good. They're not good at playing there. I think this trend is going to continue. I'm going to go ahead and take Pittsburgh here. Moving on to this next game is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Jacksonville is kind of a slump right now. Chargers are on a bit of a high right now. The expected win is going to go to the Chargers, which I do think that they're going to take it out, because even though the Chargers have a weak line right now with some injuries, especially to Joe Alt, I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars have been very good at capitalizing on things like that. So I'm going to go Los Angeles.
I also am going to be picking Los Angeles. This could be closer than we think, but I do agree that I think they're just a better put together team. Trevor Lawrence still isn't playing up to what we expect of a first overall pick. And because of that, I am rocking with the Chargers. The next is another very good game. We have the Chiefs coming in, the 5-4 Chiefs coming into the 8-2 Broncos. And I have the Chiefs winning. I think especially with how the Chiefs are able to handle divisional opponents and how they just generally don't really lose to the Broncos very often. I just think they kind of have the number of this team. And unless the offense is able to pull together a full 4 quarters, I don't think they'll win this game. The Chiefs defense knows how to play them. And even though the Broncos defense will probably keep them in this game, I expect this to come down to 14-17. The Broncos have the ball with a chance to go down, get a touchdown, and Bo Nix throws an interception.
The Broncos offense is going to stall. It's inevitable. The Broncos defense is going to get stops. That's inevitable. How many times do the Broncos stall versus get stops? I'm with you here. I do think that they're going to stall out more. The Chiefs are going to be able to capitalize more, especially coming off of a full week versus a mini bye. The Chiefs are going to take a nice win here away against Denver. And it's also going to help the Chargers take the division. So, I think this might just be a divisional week for a lot of these teams, because this next game is going to be between Cleveland and Baltimore. Lamar Jackson being on Baltimore right now has revitalized, and they're playing on a whole nother level. And I don't think the Browns are ready for it. I don't think, this is a very unique offense, and the Browns, though, have a very good defense. I don't think they are very good at containing Lamar Jackson. I think that's going to continue here. So Lamar Jackson is going to take the Ravens back to 500 on their path to reclaim their season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Browns already lost to the Ravens, and that was the one win the Ravens had when they were 1-5. And I really don't see the Browns coming in and doing any better. I don't think their team has gotten better, and I think the Ravens seem to be figuring things out. So they're kind of just on different trajectories. And yeah, I think the Ravens will come back to 5-5. And I will point out, if the Steelers end up losing to the Bengals, then the Ravens actually take the lead in the division, which we don't think is going to happen, but still, that is just an interesting thing for people to keep in mind. For our international game this week, we have Miami playing the Commanders, and honestly, I think Miami wins this one. I think that they are playing pretty good football. I think they've kind of figured out how to run this offense, and the Commanders' defense is beat up. They're not doing very well. And I don't know if you saw this, but one of the Commanders' defenders took a swing at Amon-Ra St. Brown on the field and got suspended. So their culture is, I wouldn't say their culture, but they're losing starting players for suspensions over very petty things. And I just think that even though the Dolphins don't have a lot to play for, their season is still not technically over, and they could go up to 4-7 and maybe get some more momentum on their side.
Yeah, this is the first ever game played in Spain, which is very disrespectful that we gave them the Miami Dolphins and the Washington Commanders at this point of the year. For those reasons that you stated, with one of their pretty much their best defensive player being suspended for a game for throwing that punch, as well as Marcus Mariota still being the starter here. I'm going to go Miami. Miami's had a good game last game against the Bills. They're going to be able to carry that over and do well in Madrid. Yeah, moving on to this next game, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bills are going to attempt to put on a statement win. So are the Bucs. So this is definitely going to be a big shootout. The Bucs are a bit more banged up than the Bills, and the biggest defensive weakness for the Bills is their run game, which they still don't have Bucky Irving. With them not going to be able to capitalize on the Buffalo Bills' weakness as much, I'm going to go Buffalo here at home.
I agree with everything you're saying, but we're also forgetting that the Buccaneers lost a game, not as close as the Buffalo game, but I think the Buccaneers are also going to have a bounce back game, and I honestly think that the Bills are going to fall to 6-4. They're still a wild card team, but I think that their weaknesses have been exposed, and until they're able to finally put together a solid game against a good team, I think they're going to continue to struggle. So I actually have the Bucs coming in and edging this one out. For the next game, we have our Monday night game of the Cowboys at Las Vegas. Cowboys are coming off of a bye week. I think they pretty handedly will beat Las Vegas. The whole story of their season is their defense sucks, but their offense is really good. Raiders' offense kind of sucks, and their defense also sucks. So I just see the Cowboys being able to come in and win this one handedly, coming off a bye week. Again, like a lot of other teams, their season's not technically over, and so they have stuff to play for. Well, whereas the Commanders, or not the Commanders, the Raiders, like the Commanders, don't really have that much, and they're going to fall to 2-8 to the bottom and stay at the bottom of their division.
They have shown us nothing that they can stop high-powered offenses, only that they can compete with teams with mediocre offenses. It's pretty handedly that I think Dallas is going to win this one, especially with the week of preparation. They're going to throw some bombs on them. Easy Dallas win away. This next game, divisional matchup, like the theme of the week, is going to be the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. I think we're going to see 9 this week, huh? I think we're going to see that alter ego come out.
Nine is mad that he lost last week, and 9 is going to come out swinging.
Yeah, this is definitely going to, we'll see how it turns out, but, when they played in week 1, their defense was putting Caleb Williams through it. I think they're definitely going to continue now that they're actually at home. I'm going to go Minnesota here.
I do agree with this. As much as we make fun of 9, I do think 9 is going to put together a good game. He's not a bad quarterback by any means, but again, with how the Bears are playing, they don't really win games by a lot. We know how Minnesota is a one-score merchant team. I think Caleb Williams isn't very good with pressure, and we know what the Vikings defense is good at is generating insane amounts of pressure on the quarterback, and I think inevitably Caleb is going to blink first, and the Vikings will be able to put this one away at home. For the next game, we have the Panthers at the Falcons. I know the Falcons got blown out by the Panthers recently, but I think the Falcons win this one. They're just too talented to continue losing games, and I don't want to jinx your team, but I think they're able to at least get another win in the column. Like I keep saying about other teams, their season is not technically over, but they need to start turning the ship around right now.
Like I said earlier, we do have a slew of 3 games that can get us back to 500. This is the start of it. We got blown out for. This is a game that we probably had circled for a while. We've been competing with some really good teams that I don't think other teams, the Panthers could beat. Should we play our best ball, this should be a no-brainer. Atlanta wins, it being at home. I'm actually going to this game, so maybe
Ooh.
Maybe I'll take
You
some
have to send me some
videos.
picture, take some videos, put them on here.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
everyone see next week what goes on.
Yeah, I might have to do that. So hopefully we win this one. I do think that we're slated to win this one, especially because we lost the first one. It's hard to sweep an opponent. So I'm going to go Atlanta here, even though we've had our struggles. This next game here is going to be between the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. This is a trap game for sure because it's going to be the first game of New York's without Brian Dable. He's going to be the interim head coach. He's going to be in New York. I think Green Bay is going to spoil it. I just don't like how they match up. I know that the New York defense has been really, really good, but that's the front seven. The secondary hasn't been that good. Jordan Love just needs to sit back, get comfortable, and throw some passes to his wide receivers, and you can easily beat New York. I do think he's going to do that, so I'm taking Green Bay here.
I agree with that take. This does give trap game. And we just it'll be kind of a question of, has Brian Dable been holding this team back, or has the talent been holding it back? Like what is it? I think, like you said, the interim coach boost is always something that you can't neglect because they might change things up. You don't have a lot of tape on it. And the biggest thing is Jackson Dart playing? And we don't really know any answers to that right now. But as the week goes on, I think if he plays, then I would say it's 60-40 for the Packers. If he doesn't, then again, if it's like Russell Wilson, then it's probably like 90-10 Packers. And if Jameis plays, it's like 30-70. It just, they have potential. I mean, Jameis also could be like 0% chance they win. It just kind of depends what Jameis Winston we get. But yeah, I'm also going with the Packers here. For the next game, we have the Seahawks in SoFi Stadium. And this is going to be a very good game. They're both 7-2. I just think the difference maker is they both have very good defenses. They both have very good offenses. I just think that this will come down to coaching. Sean McVay is clearly the better coach in this matchup. And I think Matthew Stafford is playing better than Sam Darnold, and they have a better overall receiving room than Seattle. So this has potential to be a shootout. It's a divisional game. Weird things might happen. But I am going to be picking the Rams to take this win and go atop the division and potentially even take the 1 seed depending on what happens this week.
Yeah, dude, I think that this is going to be a very interesting shakeup of their conference, or not their conference, but their division. This is like an NFC Championship type of matchup here. Even though I don't think they can meet in the NFC Championship, they probably meet in the week before. I'm going to go Rams here. They're playing so phenomenally. 4 quarters of football. The Seahawks have been playing a great first 2, but they've been really falling off in the last 2. Being away, it's going to be hard for them to really, garner that momentum that they would need to stay above Los Angeles. I'm going to go Los Angeles here. Moving on to the other 2 teams in the division, the Arizona Cardinals versus San Francisco 49ers. I think that injury bug is really going to finally catch up to them. The Cardinals have been playing pretty well with Jacoby Brissett. Defensively, they're usually playing decent. Josh Sweat, one of their defensive ends, he's actually like top 10 in most of the defensive stats for a rusher. So I think Arizona is actually going to pull out an upset win here at home.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Arizona, except for last week, for the most part, it's been 1-score games. I see them as teams on different trajectories. I think Arizona is slowly starting to figure things out, probably too late, but I think they're learning that Kyler Murray is more of a liability than a strength. And the 49ers are just injured and are kind of falling apart a little bit. And with Kyle Shanahan, you can never take a game for granted. But it's a divisional game, so we don't really know what's going to happen. But I also am picking the Cardinals here. And then for our last prediction on Sunday Night Football, we have the Lions going to Philadelphia. And this is a really hard pick. And before, I'm still watching the Green Bay game. The 4th quarter is just starting. It's still 3-0. Eagles are winning. And this isn't very inspiring to see as an Eagles fan. And I think with the Lions having momentum, they're definitely playing harder, better play calling. And again, the Eagles are a very talented team, so anything can happen. But I think the Lions really need a statement win this year. They beat the Bucks, but that wasn't, to me as a fan, that kind of wasn't what I'm used to for a Lions statement win. I should pick the Eagles, but I mean, I've done this every single game this year, but I'm still going with the Lions. I think that they are going to come out and win this one, but I think this will be a very close game and would not be surprised nor upset if this is close and the Eagles pull this off.
It's good that you think like that. It's a very respectful way of thinking, but in reality, I think this is going to be an easy Detroit win. The Eagles have the talent to make it a close game, but in actuality, how they've been playing, it's been very stagnant, not very good. They've proven that they can't just summon the will to win, to do what they need to be doing with their team, as you can see, versus Green Bay, who doesn't typically do this to other teams. Usually a team like Philadelphia should be able, in some facet, passing or rushing or whatnot, they should be able to dominate this stagnant offense of theirs. A defense that is that has allowed a lot of points. With a team that's actually doing things properly, I do think that you guys are going to take a victory here. So the teams on bye are the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints, just two of them for Week 11. And that wraps up our predictions. We'll run into fantasy real quick. Me and Ben, like we've been saying, we played each other this week. And unfortunately, all my leagues, my team has significantly underperformed. Now, I will say, it is not a guarantee that I lose. I have Josh Jacobs and Dallas Goedert still playing, so barring some sudden pop-offs by either one of them, it's a 99% win probability for Ben here.
Like Michael was saying, neither of us did super well this week. Just you kind of got unfortunate with, sometimes it comes down to just who you pick as defense. I picked the Broncos and they put up 17 points. He picked the Bills and they've had 2.
Yep.
And so it just proves that every position in fantasy is important and they can win or lose you a game. Complete opposite of Michael, I'm actually winning in every league I'm in. Put up 144 points in my second league. Picked up Tez Johnson. He had 2 touchdowns. George Kittle had his touchdown. Jamison Williams had a touchdown. Lad McConkey. Like all of these guys got over 20 points. So that'll win you a game. And then I'm in a third just random league that I just drafted over the summer while I was at work. That also 134 points. I had Jahmyr Gibbs, who put up 40 points. Jackson Smith Njigba, he had 20 points. So, I just had a very good week this week. But I might be taking the lead in my league. And, I hope Michael and I face each other again in the playoffs to, get another round and see if he can redeem himself. And that'll be a good game.
The season's not over for me in that league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nor is
not.
it in the other league that I'm in. But dude, I'm losing by like 100 points in the other league. It's really bad.
That is not good.
A couple of players are on bye. Everybody else is super underperforming, and the other team is just. I said it last week. He's literally the best player or the best team in our league because he has Jonathan Taylor who dropped 50 points. So you don't beat a 50 bomb. You just don't. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop in the comments how you felt about it. We appreciate your viewership and everything that you give us.
Yeah, please like and subscribe if you're still watching, but we appreciate you guys, and we're going to keep this going throughout the season. We got some off-season things potentially planned, probably not as frequent, but it was crazy. We're already thinking about playoffs are coming up. We're probably going to do some playoff brackets, have a lot more to talk about. Predictions are going to start to narrow down, come down to the wire. So, this season's really starting to heat up, and I think we're all excited to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weeks, and we will see you for week 11 next week.
See you week 11. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.